Hey everyone, welcome to The Next Level, a podcast from the Team Performance Institute. Here we provide actionable insights on modern leadership and team development, driving higher levels of organizational performance and life empowerment. I'm your host, John Sanchez. Join me and my team as we take you on the journey to the next level.
And so talk to me a little bit about a leader can set the culture, but what I've found, I can set the culture, but if it's not organic, it's not durable, right? Like I can come in and matter of fact, one of your coaches, John, we talked about this, and speaking of being vulnerable, I said, look, I don't have a problem going into any room and getting people excited. But when I leave, why are they not as excited? She was like, because they weren't part of that journey with you, right? Like they didn't feel like they were part of the journey. So it's not durable. And so when we think about change and change mentality and all the buzzwords you want to throw, it will come down to culture, and the culture that is obviously modeled at a leadership level. How do you build a durable culture that embraces, and we talked about this earlier today. To me, change and growth are the same word with different meanings.
It's true.
And we can unpack that at a different time, but how do you build a culture that embraces that change or growth?
Culture. Let's talk about culture for a second. Everybody throws that word around too. And I really think it is the essence of any team or organization that drives success or failure. And you can go to any website for any company, and most of them have these are our core values.
Sure.
This is who we are. You can walk into Cisco's offices and see it on the wall. Some of our clients actually have it they have it in the floor. So you walk by and it's kind of cool. I've got to tour all these amazing companies throughout all the time that I've been doing this. And they all have their kind of cool brag wall on culture. These are our values and this is who we stand for. I go back to thinking, okay, so who came up with those? How did that happen? And how does it happen in a company? How many employees does Cisco have now?
Roughly 80,000.
80,000 people. You got people coming and going every day. Here's our culture. It's on the wall. You go back to the 90s when Cisco was virtually a startup. It's they went through so much change, and they fundamentally have changed pretty much almost everybody that's worked there. But they've had this solid sense of core values, if you will. And those are great to have. I don't want to take away from that. I think it's great, and every company should put those out. But the culture that is the culture is what the interactions that happen between the people every day.
Yes.
Right. It's what happens in the halls. If you want to press check, if you want to test your culture, it's real simple. Go to any Cisco employee and say, hey, there's the wall of all of our values. What has been your experience of those things right there? If it's integrity or it's adapting to change and all that stuff, what is your experience? What do you think that those are? And they'll tell you, integrity all day long. This is great. My boss does this and that and all this stuff. It's great. I'm cool. Some people won't tell you that. Some people in Cisco say, are you kidding me? We're getting this wrong. We got that wrong.
Looks great. But
right? Looks great. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'm not trying to pick on Cisco or anybody. This is all across the board. Every interaction matters as a leader that you have with your people. Right. So it's the intangibles. Go ahead.
Everyone.
Yeah.
Every interaction. It's because there's this idea I have in my head of hardly anything as a leader that you do is neutral.
Yeah, moving forward or moving backward.
It has a reaction one way or the other, and we get to choose our part in that.
That's right.
So sorry to interrupt. Keep going.
No, so think about it as just living organism, this being that is culture, right? You're going to get it right some days as a leader. You're going to get it wrong some days as a leader. You're going to try your hardest. You might put word out with the greatest intent that this is the direction we're going. Here's the vision. And like you said, come in the room. I'm super excited about this. And why isn't everybody excited about it? Well, there's some complexity around that, right? And there are, so with that, those interactions, the more positive interactions you have, the more that I'll use let's just use change, right? This, shift happens. Like, so it's shifting. And as a leader, you're asking everybody to embrace change and get after it. And then, you go out and in a day-to-day, like real quick, one-on-one with somebody, you're not embracing that.
Right.
You're not doing it. You're like, I'm not doing that. I'm opting out of that. That says more, that interaction, because that interaction then will spread, because that person who maybe works for you says, well, if boss isn't doing it, then I'm not doing it. And it just spreads like a virus inside the team that you're on or into the organization. Everybody that is in a leadership position is being watched, whether you like it or not. And they're watching your interactions. They're watching in between, like the little things that you do, the nuances, the small things that you say. You can really learn about somebody in 2 minutes, just by the way they react to a question, by the way they, you can get in an elevator and just like, you can learn pretty much who they are.
For sure.
In that 15 to 20 seconds, just by a couple simple interactions. And that's what culture is. It's like those interactions day in and day out. It's not always perfect. Let's throw that on the table. Like, is our culture perfect? No. Do we care enough to work at it? Yeah. Are we going to do our best with it? Yeah. Are we going to say, hey, I'm going to be vulnerable about this and go into this change matrix? But every interaction matters. Another thing with culture, I think it's super important, is accountability. And that will really help set the ground, the foundation for culture. So if we're saying, hey guys, want to, adapt to this change, move forward with this, and it's just not happening, and you're asking people to adapt to it. Over time, it becomes a non-accountable atmosphere where people don't feel like they have to do it. And people like you want to work on their birthday. Some people get that this is what they get to do. And you wouldn't come to work if it sucked. You wouldn't come to work if it was awful. You wouldn't come to work if you weren't challenged every day. And as a leader, you are there to challenge them. So holding them accountable sets a foundation of safety as well. So we've had like 6 one-on-ones. You're working through this, at some point you're just not getting through. It's not getting through. I need to have that conversation. And accountability doesn't have to be a negative thing. When we think about accountability, there's two sides of this thing, right? Accountability, when I'm like, oh my gosh, if I'm a leader and I have to go have a talk with Jeff about being accountable for his actions, I'm a little bit nervous, because I'm like, oh man, I got to be the boss. I got to not yell at Jeff. I would yell at you just because you're fun to yell at. Yeah. No, I got to have this tough conversation, right? But if you look at it from the other side and you think about you're in a job right now and your boss holds you accountable, you feel good about that. You feel safe. Yeah, I care. Hey, I'm looking after you. And that accountability conversation doesn't need to be tough. It just can be like, hey, where are you at? What's going on here? This is where we said we were going to be. What is going on? I want to know. And I want you to kind of get to that level, because I believe in you. And I think you can do this. And if you can't, maybe there's something in the way. Maybe there's something I don't know about. If you see that, one of the hardest things for somebody is to keep them in a job that they're not suited for. You're not doing them favors. You're not doing the company that you're part of a favor. Right. Yeah. Right. It's a disservice to them. If I had you in this job where, you were doing something that wasn't part of your skill set or your journey of where you wanted to go, and you weren't motivated to do it, it not only is a disservice to you, it's your family that you come home beat up every day because you're trying to do something that you're not suited for. It's your team that, is trying to get around you, but they don't know why you're so not motivated to do this. But it's just you. That's okay. Can we find a space or a better job for you? I guess that's part of more performance management discussion. But some people, as they go through change, they got into this job to do this, but they're not doing it and they're not comfortable with it. And that's okay to say, hey, this is not for you. Yeah. Let's move you over here. Or out. I've had to let a lot of people go in my life. It feels awful to do that. But guess what? The sun comes up for them the next day and they find themselves in better places. And they call me a year later and go, oh man, I'm doing great. I learned a lot. Thank you for getting me out of that. I wouldn't have pulled the plug on myself. Right. Because I didn't want to quit.
No one hardly ever will. Right. It's so difficult to do. And so I coached high school basketball for a long time. Absolutely loved it. And I always told my players, it's like, if I'm not coaching you hard, you should be concerned, right? Because that's when I've stopped caring and I'm not holding you accountable anymore. But to your point, I think accountability has a bit of a bad rap at times, right? Because it's always given a negative. It's not negative. But as long as, you know, you didn't set that screen, tell me what you saw on that play instead of, you're an idiot. Why didn't you set the screen, right? Like, maybe that's what it was. But until I ask that question, I don't know what their perspective is, right? We still hold each other accountable with that. And, you know, as with culture, I heard this the other day, and it kind of encompasses everything you're saying, is Steve Kerr, the coach of Golden State. He was talking about a conversation.
Great player, too.
Great player. Money on threes. He was talking to Pete Carroll, coach of the Seahawks, a long time ago. And he went in when he first took over, and he was like, hey, coming into this job, I want what offense, you know, what defense, all this kind of stuff. And he was like, yeah, I don't really care about any of that. And he was like, what do you mean? He was like, how do you want your players to feel when they walk in the building? When at practice, what do you want them to feel? And that's culture, right? It's the air you breathe. It's everything about it. And you can't just put it up on a board. You can, but those are words. Your actions are what makes it durable. So that is, and that culture allows you, I think, to see things in a different way. And what could look like, and I won't tell the whole story because I don't know if we might have to cut this out if I tell the story, but I'll tell a little bit. One of my favorite movies. It's embarrassing. It's one of my favorite movies, but Dumb and Dumber. So do you remember?
Great movie.
Do you remember the scene? They're beside the road.
The
bus pulls up with these Hawaiian tropic models. And they're like, would you just, like, we're looking for two guys to be lotion boys, right? For our photo shoot. And they're like, I think you'll find them at the next town down. And then the bus leaves and they're like, idiot, it's not that way, it's that way. Why didn't anything good happen to us? And I'm like, that is what the culture allows, is to see things differently, doesn't it? That's the part that it's so funny to me to think about that. But I know I've heard you talk about it. Sometimes if we have the right culture and mindset, it's almost like the cheat code gets flipped. And I see that with you a lot, is that change, growth, opportunity, whatever you want to call it, it's like you lean in because your confidence is, I will figure this out and I'll probably fail and I'll get back up. But you also see it as a catalyst for finding new ideas, for innovating, for doing things a different way. And maybe if I could ask you to think back to your days as a Navy SEAL, like maybe what's a story, or bring it to life for us, where it looked like a constraint. It looked like something that for all the visual reasons was terrible. But because you had the right culture and because you had the right mindset, it allowed you to think of a different way, to find a different way to go about that.
Great question. I'll answer it on a personal and then more strategic. So tactical and strategic level. A great question. So if you go back to like what I talked about in the intro, like I was 17 and I turned 18. 2 weeks later, I go into the military. The military is built up of all the, the story, like break you down and then build you up. So my first thing they did is shave my head and took away all my personal belongings, stripped me of everything. And they told me to, your packing list for the Naval Academy is pretty hilarious. It's like bring, 3 pairs of underwear, razors. That was it. Like that.
That's a pretty short list.
and when I showed up, they even took that away from me. They're like, you don't need this. We're going to give you our version of underwear. So like, great, fantastic. So it was not even like completely stripped. So at 17, 18 years old, kind of walked into this wild crucible of, and I obviously I volunteered to do it, and I was excited to be there, and I got knocked down hard, and it was hard for me. High school was relatively easy for me, but college really smoked me academically. The Naval Academy is a very strict and hard environment. So to go through that, the first 6 weeks is called like plebe summer. Plebe summers really helped. After 6 weeks, I felt a sense of accomplishment. My parents showed up, and I got to see them. I'm like, oh my gosh, I made it. I had this sense of like, I went through this hell and I made it through. And then I had to go through all plebe year. Freshman year is called plebe year. And plebe year sucks. It's just constant crucible every day. Yeah. But I had to make it through that.
Sure.
Right. And I made it through that. And then I was done with that. And boy, did it feel good. Then I went into youngster year thinking I got this, but then the academics load hit and I was failing out academically. Oh my gosh. Died. And I got through that. And I got to my junior year where I got a car. And I started to feel more but I got through these moments of I feel I got it. And junior year was great and senior year was even better. And then I'm like, boom, I'm top of the world. And I go to SEAL team training. Right back to the bottom. And then I made it through that and I was able to graduate, and I graduated number one in my class. There were the 140 guys. I graduated number one, only 14 of us left.
I say 140, but only 14 left standing.
Exactly. Wow. Yeah, so the number's not that great to be 1 out of 14. But anyway, so I made it through. I had that sense of oh man. So if you look at it, it's pretty easy. It's a lot easier for me at 17 to have gone through, plebe summer, plebe year, sophomore year, and then, buds. By the time I was 22, I had been hit so hard so many times, but I also saw the sun come up over that peak that I was trying to get to. Right now, was the sun come up and everything's blissful? No, you're always going to be searching for the next peak. But I had a sense of go do something hard. You will be rewarded if you work hard and you put your head down and you go for it. So it's easier for me, I believe, based on what I've gone through from 17 to 22, very formative years. I have kids in that age right now to say, okay, cool. So when it comes to doing something hard, I'm like, okay, let's do this. And go back to hobbies, right? So this is my personal development. And this is, I think, hopefully a bit of a highlight for people. So if you have this idea that, and maybe everybody's listening going okay, so you want me to go back to 17 and join the military? How does that work? Because I can't get, I can't go through that. I can't go through that harshness, nor do I want to. And please believe me, you don't. But let me put it in more relative terms. So I was in the SEAL teams. I got through SEAL team training and I was kind of top of the world. I decided to take up surfing for the first time, living in Southern California.
Okay.
I'll try this. I'm a water polo player. I got all this. What
could go wrong?
Slam, getting hit by waves and trying to get up. And it was really challenging, but boy, it wasn't fun when I got in. So surfing became my passion. And I loved it and it became my thing. And then, as I moved away from Southern California, I took up a woodworking, and I'm not handy at all. But I walk into a wood shop and I'm like, very, very humble to say, I don't know what I'm doing, but I picked the oldest guy who still had all of his fingers in there. And I said, will you mentor me? Will you help me? I want to learn how to do this. He was like, sure. He was happy to do it. And I learned how to build furniture. Randomly, I was so into woodworking. I was so passionate about it. I would dream about it. I would draw things. I could figure out. I was all into it. But I learned so much in that, and I learned how things operate, and how structures are built, and all this stuff. All joints are made. I can go shopping now and look at a piece of furniture and go nope, that's not worth the money. And certain, I'd be like, that's way worth it. So little things incrementally getting better. After that, I got into cycling. I got into biking. I never was really biking, but all of a sudden I started racing. I joined a team and started racing. I had no business being on a bike. I was these guys were skinny and all this stuff. And I'm built like a football player compared to most cyclists. And I learned all these incremental, but I was passionate about this. It learned so much, but I wrecked really hard one. I skidded 30 feet, in a race, beat up my whole shoulder, all this stuff, literally falling down and getting back up. These passions led me to the next passion, I got into beekeeping. Holy cow. Did
not see that. We went surfing, we went woodworking, now we're beekeeping.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think all these different things that you do, it's wild because beekeeping was okay, I can do that. I'll go try that. And you get into that. And then I got in and I failed at that. And it was a hard fail because I lost all my bees. And I was like, man, and I had to learn how to be a better beekeeper. And that was super fun. And then I got into my current thing, which is probably the most humility driven thing or sport, and it's not really a sport for me because it's more of a hobby. I'd say golf, right?
Yeah.
So here I am trying to play golf. And oh my gosh, at 47, I pick up this game and I'm like, I'm an athlete. I got this. And at 49, I was like, I'm getting worse every day. At 50, I'm like, why can't I get this? And it's so hard and it's so fun. But to be open to that idea, to continuously be curious, continuously put yourself in that position. How do you get through it? It's fun.
Yeah.
You're following your passion. I used all of that stuff, and I go through that long story just to say, like, how can you be better at work? Go find something out of your comfort zone that you might like or be passionate about. Look at you, podcasting. Like, this wasn't like, I'm going to go like, this is like, most people don't want to do this. This is uncomfortable. This can be hard, but like, I'm going to go do it outside of my comfort zone. This is your 15th podcast. You just go do something that you want to try, go fail at it, go build on it, go put it out there. If you listen to the Team Performance Institute podcast, Next Level, if you go to the very first one, you'll listen to me podcast somebody. I'm terrible. I thought I was good, but it's like a terrible podcast. Honestly, this is me self-critical, but the ones that we're doing now are better, and the ones that we're going to do in the future are better because I'm open to it. I'm vulnerable to say, hey, I'm going to make this better. And some people like the first one. Thank God for those people,
For sure. And, the themes across it, and I was talking to your wife just a little bit earlier about the same thing. Like, the one thing that's consistent, I think, with both of us is curiosity, always looking for something. And I actually love feeling like a beginner. Like, I love it. I don't want to stay a beginner.
Yeah.
But I love feeling like a beginner. And I used not to, and I figured out why. Because I was trying to be advanced.
Yeah.
When I was really just a beginner.
Yeah.
Like, just accept the fact that when you do something new, you're a beginner.
Yeah.
And that's okay.
Yep.
Like, I love that part of it. And the second thing that stuck out to me is you find people who are doing what you want to do.
That's right.
And you will be amazed how the world opens up to you, right? When you find others and say, I don't know what I'm doing, but I love what you do.
Right.
And would love to learn.
Right.
Why are we sitting here? Because,
hey,
I would love to do a podcast. John, you've done them. Like, what do I do? You said, go do these 5 things, right? And then call me in a couple of weeks. And we did. And then you were crazy enough to have me in here. And we'll see how this ends up, right? Yes, that's the idea. And it just makes life fun, to be fair, right? It makes it, you're constantly learning. You're constantly evolving. And it does allow you to see change as opportunity. Yeah. It allows you to see growth as constant. Yeah. Either way. Like, sometimes growth's bad, sometimes growth's good, but like, it's there. Right. What are you going to do with it? For leaders, we've gotten the right mindset, right? We've talked about that. We've talked about the culture, which, by the way, you listen to this, it doesn't make your culture good, but it does. It's something you have to work on every day. Yeah. Yeah. We've talked about how you take sometimes what feels like a constraint or feels like an area where you're not an expert in, and finding opportunity. But back to, you mentioned Atomic Habits. One of my favorite quotes of all time is, you will never rise to the level of your goals. You will fall to the level of your systems. Yeah. Yes. And taking me back from where you started to now, what are some of the systems and trainings that you coach leaders to put in place that allow for all of this stuff to become organic? Because you can't have to foster something every time, right? There has to be a system that supports that. Tell me a little bit about that.
So I think that goes back to what you said around mindset. But with our leaders, we always start with our people who go through some of our coaching programs and through our online training. We go to identifying their strengths first as a leader. Like, let's just go to you. And you went through one of our workshops, actually. One of my favorite workshops we ever did was in Switzerland. Can we please go back to Switzerland?
Sure.
Please go back to, that was just beautiful. But one of the things that I challenged leaders to do initially, you went through this, is like, talk to and put down on paper, what are your self-identified strengths? Who are you as leader? What got you to what you are right now? What if you could put down on paper your leadership traits that make you successful, that have made you, if you go back in your whole life, you had to dig up, how did I get there? How did that work? And what did I rely on to help me get there? There are some beautiful traits in your path that are you as a leader. So we start there, right? And with those, okay, we identified those. Let's create an awareness around what those are. Great. That is who you are. And most people really do like talking about their strengths. right?
I love talking
Yeah,
about
it's
myself.
fun. Yeah, it's
fantastic.
great. It's great. Well, when you go to a third grade class, you'll be like, hey, who in here is good at, a million hands come up. If you go into a corporate, Cisco like team, who's great at this? Nobody's going to raise their hand because we've been beaten into the adult world of like humility and all that stuff, right? Right. So, but like, yeah, we have strengths. So we get people to identify those, put them on paper. We make them write them down. Here's what I'm good at. And then we make them talk about it. Go talk to, pair up with somebody, talk about what you bring to this team. And it's kind of cool because nobody does that. Nobody sits around and says, hey, I'm going to come into this room right now and write down my best things, and I'm going to tell you all about them. No, we don't allow space for that in our adult world. But allowing leaders to do that when you're coaching leaders or bringing them into the room, let's get to their traits. Let's get to the traits that made them successful. Because what made them successful is probably going to fuel them. And there's things that need to work on too, which is the second part of our kind of process, is allowing them to see, where do you struggle? Like, what are the things? Like, maybe the topic is change. Maybe the topic is, we just did one in Dallas around navigating difficult conversations. We did one in Phoenix around accountability. Like, we teach these things in these workshops all over the country and online. And like, it's cool because if you struggle here, but you can self-identify, here's the strengths that I bring to the team, and this is where I don't. You can start to figure out who you are around that challenge. It's like you said, like, I love that comment. It's like, you don't rise, you fall to your level of training.
Sure.
Right. And that we always say that, you train for war. Like, you gotta fight, you train like you're gonna fight in war. That's what we talk about in the teams. And that's just like, that's our standard. We make everything as realistic as possible. So, challenge yourself, get after it, identify those strengths, think about where you might have those weaknesses, and don't see those as like in the beginning of your career, when the boss gave you something. I was talking to my 17-year-old daughter. It was like, okay, go clean the pool or watch that pool. It's kind of pass fail, right? If I come home and the pool's green, that's fail. That's fair, right? Because that's 17 to 22, right? You build a mentality in career around pass fail, but then, and that's why it's hard for some people to realize that, like, oh, now I'm 22 to 40 or 50 or whatever. It's not pass fail anymore, because I'm not dealing with that little simple thing. I'm not dealing with pool anymore. But you give me a job and I want to do a good job for you, and I feel like my paycheck depends on it. I want to do a good job. I can't approach it with a pass fail mentality, because the jobs you're giving me now are way more complex, right? They're harder. They're bigger.
Even if you wanted to, you wouldn't do as good a job if you approached it with pass fail.
Right.
The questions are harder. They're more complex.
Right. So we have a module that we teach online called Growth Mindset. And in Growth Mindset, it talks about, a fixed versus a growth mindset. The fixed mindset is, if you give me something to do, it's pass fail. The growth mindset is, oh, thank you, Jeff. This is an opportunity for me. This is an opportunity for me to grow, right? That failures aren't part of like my scorecard. They're part of my progress.
Right. And
I will do better. But I'm going to have to get into a spot here, because you're going to give me something a little harder. It's not going to be all perfect. I can't just hit the target every single time for you. And that's the relationship we have to be like, okay, I got this. I'm going to go run with it. I'll let you know what I need, but I'm going to try my hardest and I'll figure it out. That's all you need to know.
And I'll dig in just for a second. You mentioned earlier, most of the CEOs that you speak with go in before they go out in terms of their self.
Yeah.
And working on themselves. Yeah. And I will relate to that, because in Switzerland, I brought you out.
Yeah.
Had you be part of it. So I knew what you were going to do, but then I wasn't ready to be part of it. And then you asked me, and you're like, put these strengths in. And we
Let's
did that.
Go. Yeah.
I just stared at the paper.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, what if I put this down and then I change my mind and it's wrong? And what feels right? Like, and you do all this stuff. And what it gave me was it's almost like a guide to me for myself and for others.
Yeah.
And then working with one of your coaches a couple years down the road, she very astutely helped me understand that just because they were my strengths doesn't mean everybody else loves them like I do. Right? And so maybe I need to put a dial on that strength and adjust it just a little bit based on, but it becomes a guide not only for yourself.
Yeah.
So again, what's my relationship with this?
Right.
But to also ask the team, what's your relationship? And again, going back and building that culture, because one of the things that I struggle with, and it's a bit off topic, but I think it works in the systems, is there are so many people I see that are doing a job and they do it really well. And two things happen. As a leader, you're scared to let them do anything else because they do that job really well.
Don't want to lose them.
They do that job really well, so they're scared a little bit to do anything else, except when the moment of change comes, you haven't prepared them as a leader to be ready for that. And they're not prepared. Because to your point, go back to your hobbies. You stacked a little confidence every time you tried something that you didn't know how to do, and then you did it. And how do we do a better job of leaders of knowing that this is hard and building a system around that, of having our teams move? And we always, well, at least my career, I don't know what everybody else's career, everybody loves this up into the right chart. I haven't looked anything like that. It's like here and around and sideways. And, one of the things that I talk about a lot is sometimes you have to go sideways to get a better view of where you want to go. And
I like that.
How do you build? How can we take just small steps to build a better culture and set up systems around? How do we get our teams to embrace that? It starts with us as leaders.
As you talk about that up into the right, I was thinking about Willy Wonka's elevator. You remember the elevator just goes all over? That's what most careers. You look at any senior executive, you're going to say, like, how did your career go up into the right? They're like, it didn't, man. It was like a shotgun scattergram, and it ended up here. And by luck and happenstance, some of it happens. And, but it's all filled with, and by the way, these senior leaders are also filled with like complex problems, and they're just as, struggling just as much as the first day on the first job person is. So that never leaves. So many thoughts come to mind, and how do you go back to your question? How do you build on like a culture? How do you build not only a culture, but put systems in place that encourage you to move people to different roles, to get different experiences, to be a beginner? Because what we know is that people have to choose to be a beginner. Probably not going to choose that most times, right? Like some will, but as a leader, you can put a system in place that starts to move people into areas, but you're also going to have to over communicate why you're doing it. Absolutely. So great. Thank you. So vision on that one's really important. Accountability is important. And then it's setting the culture within your own personal team. So every leader has the ability to set culture. And there's subcultures, obviously, in a culture. You have the big Cisco culture, but then you have your own team's culture. And I've seen all these awesome Cisco teams that have their own, like, they have nicknames and we're this, we're this, we're that, all that stuff. It's super cool. Set the precedent with the team that I am going to challenge you. That part of my job is to challenge you to become better at all things, including, and I'll even put this on the page, including just becoming a better person, right? You're getting into that neck down piece. My goal is not only to be your boss, help you hit your number or do whatever we're doing here at Cisco. My goal is to help you find more balance and fulfillment in your personal life, help you grow as a person. You have to shift the focus on your one-on-ones, not to the mission, but to the person. And when you shift your focus from the mission to the person, then you're incrementally building the blocks of your team. So I want to be, if you work for me, I want to build Jeff Edwards as a person to better balance, better fulfillment, higher goals, bigger challenges. I want to challenge you as a person. Some of the fundamental systems you ask about, like, don't mess around with your annual reviews or mid-year reviews or quarterly reviews. Like, use those as opportunities. They come up for us as leaders. We're like, I got to go write that thing and do that thing and fill in that stuff and do that. Those are really grand opportunities to slow down with your team in order to speed them up. So use those as opportunities. Use your one-on-ones as opportunities to focus on that person. Don't miss one-on-ones. That was a big mistake I made as a leader. So important. Oh man, I'd be like, well, Jeff's killing it, man. He's killing it. He's doing. He doesn't need me.
I'd love to have 30 minutes back. Right?
You're good to go.
They'll love 30 minutes back.
Yeah, I call you at, we have our one-on-one at 2:30. I call you at 1:00 after lunch. Be like, hey, dude, I'm good. You're good. We're good. Yeah, we're good. Click. and you go, damn, I really wanted to meet with him today. Although I'm doing great, I want to be challenged. I want more opportunity. I talked about my wife last night. I have a meeting with you today, boss, but you're going to be the good guy and the good soldier and be like, yeah, I'm good, boss. Click and be like, oh, I guess I got a half an hour back and start going.
Yeah.
Don't mess with that, man. If you're a leader, get after those one-on-ones, make those sacred, because they're sacred to your people.
It's
right.
I mean, that is out of everything that we've talked about. And it's been a lot of really just practical, but powerful stuff. The idea of in a one-on-one, making it about the person, not the project.
Amen.
Because they don't need to feel like an outcome.
Yeah.
Like, what can you do for me? And then we're good, right?
Yes.
And I still to this day, on a 1 to 10, I'll grade myself maybe a 6 over the entirety of my career on my one-on-ones. But I remember the inflection point. And that's why now it matters. Every one of them matters. Is I did exactly what you just said. And they said, I've been prepping for a week for this. Yeah. And I'm like, wow. So my time is way more important than the week that you spent preparing for this.
Yeah.
How important do you think that person felt right at that moment?
Exactly.
And so those are the moments where don't forget them.
Yeah.
Because it helps you build the systems, right? And now I love it. So thank you for helping with that, because it does come down to humans create culture. Culture drives how you embrace change, and how you embrace change determines whether you're going to see or be blind to opportunities.
Yeah.
And that it starts with that human.
Yep. That's right.
That you're talking to. So
that's right.
Before we close out with one of my favorite questions that I'm going to ask you, this will be a weird one, though, but it'll be a weird one for you. But is there anything that you would want to leave everybody listening in around leading through change, resilience, anything that maybe we've missed that you'd want to share with everyone?
Let me think about that, because this has been such a great look at us, man. We're a good hour plus into this. 10 minutes. Hour and a half. Yeah, thanks for tuning in, everybody. You're still listening.
It's like John and I are just in the living room, and all of a sudden with the camera on. So.
We got a lot of coffee before we came in here, and now we're all fired up. I think we really hit on a lot of stuff that I wanted to say, and a lot of stuff that was, I really appreciate the opportunity. I'll take us out of the change conversation for a second and leave everybody with something, hopefully something good. Like, I think about legacy in life, and we have this idea that legacy is this, what we leave behind. It's this, you die, and then how are you going to be remembered? And those are all the right things. That's important. And you try to live a good life for that. But I really like the idea of you have this living legacy in what you do. So if you came to Cisco, a few years ago, think about it in terms of this, like, where did you come from? Do you remember the people that you love to work with? Do you remember the people that stabbed your back? Those people all have legacy in your heart and in your mind, right? And today's the day when you can have legacy with others just by reaching out and being there for them, and being that person that people like to work with, will work with, a person that challenges themselves, a person that is more humble, a person that is vulnerable to saying, I messed that up and how can I help? A person that's vulnerable to say, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, dude. I failed on that one. I don't want to do that again. I might do that again. I hope I don't. But man, I'm going to try to do my best never to do that again to you. That creates this awesome living legacy for you. And in the end, all this work, and this because we've been friends for so long now, it all comes down to relationships, right? It's all about relationships. It's all about the people that you got to work with. If you're working for Cisco and you stick around and you just do the work, spoiler alert, you're going to die with a lot of money in your bank account. Like, it's going to be, it's going to be okay. You're going to be okay. You found yourself not only into a great sector in the economy, to a sector that we're going to drastically rely on as a world, but you found yourself into a big, awesome company that does great work and that has led a lot of stuff. So there's parts of Cisco's legacy that you don't get to be a part of because it came way before you, but you do get to be a part of it now. And ultimately, when it's all said and done and you're walking down the beach with old Jeff Edwards, it's going to be about the relationships that we had. We're going to remember that trip to Nashville in 2016 where we met. We're going to remember that trip that, you had me come out and do that assignment, that summit for clients at Pinehurst. Yeah. And to my dad, I can't believe I didn't play golf.
But that legacy, I remember you're proving this out in real time. We were at dinner, first night at Pinehurst. Mm-hmm. You didn't talk about legacy in terms of 5 years. What's your 200-year plan? Is what you asked. Yeah. Right? Like that's the plan.
Yeah.
What's your 200-year plan? This idea that, and I heard this saying the other day and love it. Legacy is not what you leave for people. It's what you leave in.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Yeah. Yeah. That's absolutely right. That's absolutely right. Yeah. Legatus is Latin, legacy. Legatus is person delegated. So I love that. It's like, it's not what we leave behind. It's who we leave behind. It's who you are in the hearts of the people that you get to live with, the people that you get to work with, the people that you see on the street that you can just help with something. All those little interactions matter. So I think that's something that I've been thinking about lately. I appreciate the opportunity to share that with you.
Unbelievable. Thank you. So powerful. Shift to something fun.
All right. Let's go.
I have a question to ask everybody, but asking you, it feels like, I don't know if it's a fair question for you. Like, I ask people if we're going to cast a movie. And it's a big blockbuster movie, right? Superhero movie.
Yeah.
What would your superpower be? And when I ask a Navy SEAL that, like, it feels like not a fair question. Like, whoa, I've got like these 5 superpowers. But what would your superpower be, John? What's there every time you've had success or joy in your life?
Yeah. So this goes right into the theme of like everything we've talked about, and hopefully it's not surprising to anybody, but I mean, I swear, I think of all the superheroes that I love, I'd put Deadpool as like one of my favorites. One, because so funny. And he's basically he's like a Marvel team guy, right? Like it's just kind of the mentality of like, I think Ryan Reynolds is hilarious and witty, but that would be the superpower, right? Is just you can regenerate like after being ripped in half, after like you can't kill him because he can get shot and he heals himself, right? His superpower is self-healing, right? To come back time and time again and to come back as better time and time again. So that would be my choice.
I had high expectations. You exceeded. That was I will never look at Deadpool again.
Oh my gosh!
That's so good.
It's such a fun movie, and I selfishly have them both downloaded onto my iPad, so when I travel, I can just blindly like listen to Deadpool on an airplane, just kind of laugh and listen. But yeah, I think just to be able to do, just to be able to be better every day. To when I get hurt, to be able to heal and come back and try to do better for others. I think that's my purpose on the planet, is to help others achieve next level. So,
well, you have been that for me. You have helped push me, prod me, achieve next level. And I keep looking for the next one, and you're going to be there right by my side.
Amen, brother.
I cannot tell you how grateful I am for spending the time. I'm grateful for everybody out there, because this has been just a wonderful conversation. And I hope everybody just took a little bit. I don't think you ever take 90 minutes out of these things, but you might have a couple minutes.
Yeah, a couple nuggets.
The way you think about things.
Grab a couple nuggets and put them to work. That's why I say think big, act small. Like think big and I'm going to try that. Do something small. Big thanks to you, Jeff.
Absolutely.
For your friendship, for our relationship. I love you, and that the people that we get to be around are the most important to us. And so the opportunity to do this, to help others, is just like, I feel like I'm sitting in the place that I should be right now, right here with you. So thank you.
We get to have great conversations.
Amen. Amen.
Beautiful.
All right, brother. Well, thank you. And thanks everybody for tuning in, and we'll see you next time on Next Level and Shift Happens.
Thanks, everybody.
Hey everyone, thanks for joining us on The Next Level. We hope that you found a couple of tips or insights today that you can take into your daily life. To learn more about our leadership training programs, our executive coaching programs, and the Team Performance Institute, please visit us at teamperformanceinstitute.com or email us at info@teamperformanceinstitute.com. Hope you have an awesome day.